In a mega announcement addressing the nation late on Saturday night, Prime Minister Modi said that India will start giving precaution doses to healthcare and frontline workers and those above 60 years of age with comorbidities from January 10th. He also announced that vaccinations will begin for children between 15 and 18 years of age from January 3rd. The Prime Minister added that over 61% of India's adult population are fully vaccinated against COVID, while around 90% of the adult population has received single dose of the vaccine shots.
आज अटल जी का जन्मदिन भी है, क्रिसमस का त्योहार भी है, तो मुझे लगा कि इस निर्णय को आप सबके साथ साझा करना चाहिए। साथियों, 15 साल से 18 साल की आयु के बीच के जो बच्चे हैं, अब उनके लिए देश में वैक्सीनेशन प्रारंभ होगा। 2022 में 3 जनवरी को सोमवार के दिन से इसकी शुरुआत की जाएगी। ये फैसला कोरोना के खिलाफ देश की लड़ाई को तो मजबूत करेगा ही, स्कूल कॉलेजों में जा रहे हमारे बच्चों की और उनके माता पिता की चिंता भी कम करेगा।
I'm joined on the show now by Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, Chairman, Nephron Clinics, and Dr. Shruti Malik, Director of Radix Hospital. Thank you, doctors, both of you, for joining us on the show this morning. But essentially, there are still a lot of questions that people may have in their mind when it comes to these big announcements. First, let's come to the issue of booster shots. That has in fact been on a debate topic for quite some time as to whether or not India should introduce it. When is it going to be introduced? How is it going to be introduced? At this point in time, of course, it has been opened up for frontliners and for senior citizens who have comorbidities. They may consult their doctor and then opt for the booster shot. Dr. Bagai, coming to you first, what exactly do people need to keep in mind when it comes to these booster shots? Because there's still a little bit of a gray area. What do you exactly go for? Are the Indian existing vaccines good enough for boosters? And if I am, let's say, a senior citizen and have comorbidities, if I have past infections, should I still go for it? These are some questions which might be playing on people's minds even now.
Good morning. So I think the entire basis is scientifically proven worldwide for the past almost 5 or 6 months that if you are 5 to 6 months post your second vaccine, the immunity which has been instituted by the vaccine starts diminishing. Now the entire scenario has been changed because of the Omicron, because it suppresses your B cells and T cells by 32% and 29% respectively. Also, the people who have comorbidities, unfortunately, or who are elderly above the age of 60, 65, there is an increased risk almost between 50 to 80% as far as getting this infection is concerned. Now, if someone has already had natural infection and then are comparing it with a booster, now the issue is the issue is really with regards the natural infection, what we call as hybrid immunity. That means natural infection and a vaccine. That is not as good and superior as 3 vaccines because the breadth, potency, and the immunophenotyping of the antibodies which are produced are not as good and long-lasting as the vaccines produce. So the vaccines as the third dose increases your immunity back between 25 to 50-fold higher, and it almost brings it back to the pre-Omicron stage as far as the immunity is concerned. So it's extremely important for the healthcare workers because we received the vaccine in January, February this year. So it's been a better part of 8 or 10 months since we've got the vaccine. And it's important that we need that added protection because we are continuously exposed to the potential virus. With regards the pediatric vaccination, of course, that's a completely new gamut, which is about 45 to 50% of the Indian population. Kids carry the same viral load. They can infect as much. They can transmit as much. They are the single largest cause of household transmission because they are completely unvaccinated and vulnerable. They transmit the infection on to adults and to the grandparents and parents. So the children require the same protection as the adults because 49% of the children are asymptomatic. That means without knowing, they can innocently carry the infection and months later land up with serious complications. So I think both the initiatives which has been introduced and announced by the Honorable Prime Minister is a great move and a great present to India just before the New Year's.
Right. Stay with us, Dr. Bagai. Let me go across to Dr. Shruti now, Dr. Shruti Malik. We heard the views from Dr. Bagai there. As far as, again, coming back to the booster shots, as we said, that some experts are of the opinion that the mRNA vaccines, the ones which are by Moderna, might actually be better in terms of giving as a booster shot compared to existing Indian vaccines that are prevalently used, Covaxin as well as Covishield. What are your thoughts on it, ma'am?
All right. So I think Dr. Bagai has very beautifully explained as to how do we have to go about all these booster doses. But all said and done, I would just like to add one more thing here is that whenever we talk about a booster dose, there has been studies which say that the mix and matching has already been done, but obviously there aren't much data about it as how they would be acting when we talk about the amount of antibodies they'll be producing. But if we talk about the advisory that has not yet come, but we'll be just following the basic guidelines that were there, that people who has taken Covaxin will go ahead with Covaxin, and those who have taken Covishield will go ahead with that. But up till now, there hasn't been much studies onto it, so it's too early for us to say as to whether we should be going ahead with some other booster doses or we should be sticking back to the same ones.
Right. Dr. Malik, also when it comes to the pediatric vaccines, I mean, at the moment, of course, it's the age group of 15 to 18 for which the green signal has come. But there also parents have a lot of concerns in terms of actually whether or not this will, of course, I mean, unanimously, I'm sure a lot of parents would be relieved by the fact that their children are going to be able to get vaccinated. But what are some of the things that parents now need to keep in mind? Because there are still concerns in terms of clusters in educational institutes. There are still concerns of, several children actually turning COVID positive. So is this the right time, actually, let's put it that way, for introducing these jabs?
Yes, I think it's the exactly right time for all of us. And I think PM Modi has taken a wonderful step by introducing these pediatric vaccines. So I tell you, there are a few reasons behind it. Firstly, see, why do we have to vaccinate these kids is because if we want to achieve the herd immunity of 70%, we won't be able to do that because children below the age of 18 years are 40% in our countries. Point number two, I would also like to tell you here is that obviously this disease is mild, but it's life-threatening. So we need to be very cautious when we talk about our children. Point number three, these children could be the super spreaders for their parents and their grandparents. And as we all know, most of the grandparents or people above the age of 50 years have some or the other comorbidities, and seeing the surge in the Omicron cases, it is very difficult for all of us to say how it is going to behave in coming future. And most importantly, for mental and emotional security of the parents. See, parents are not able to send their children in parks as they used to do it. They're not going to their schools. So I think this security is very, very important. And all these things are going to sum up if we do not take the step right now. So I think it's a wonderful step that has been taken by the government, and we should all be prepared for it. And I think soon we'll be vaccinating children below the age of 12 as well. And because to start with, the government has taken a protocol that we'll be vaccinating children between 15 to 18. And obviously, we'll be focusing on the booster doses for healthcare workers and people who are above the age of 60 years with some or the other comorbidities.
Right. Dr. Shruti Malik, Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, thank you so much for joining us on this discussion today.
Thank you.
Time for us now to slip into a short break. More news and updates on the other side. Stay tuned.